geniuses! I am Naella.
Hello, geniuses. I am Darren Joaquin.
Hello, geniuses. I am Kay.
Hello, geniuses. I am Luning.
Hi, geniuses. I am Kay. This is Tech Genius.
Let me ask you first. Do you prefer book or gadget? Or you prefer learning by text or picture? Well, we're gonna learn some learning strategies later because we'll be talking about ta-da! Theories and principles in the use and design of technology-driven learning lessons. Let's know first the outline of this video. Genius K, let's zoom in. Okay?
So here are the outlines of the presentation. Under the theories and principles in the use and design of technology-driven learning lessons, we will talk about a total of 3 topics. First topic is all about Dale's Cone of Experience that will be discussed to you by Genius Naella. Next is TPACK, stands for Technology, Pedagogy, and Content Knowledge that will be discussed by Genius Darren and your truly Genius K. And lastly, the Assure model that will be discussed by Genius Ningning and Genius KD. So are you ready, geniuses? Let's zoom out, okay?
Hi geniuses! I am Genius Naella and I'm going to teach you about Dale's Cone of Experience. First of all, it is not an ice cream. I know some of you is hungry, but let me first talk about this special cone. We have 3 objectives here to be achieved in our discussion. Number 1 is to explain in the Cone of Experience by Edgar Dale. Number 2, to understand the relevance of Cone of Experience. Number 3 is to determine how can instructors use Cone of Experience. How can teachers use audiovisual materials to promote learning that persists? How can audiovisual materials enable students to enjoy learning through vicarious experience? These were 2 of the many important research and development questions addressed by an extraordinary educational technology pioneer, Edgar Dale. Now, who is Edgar Dale? Edgar Dale is the best remembered today for his often misinterpreted cone of experience. Dale made significant contributions in many areas as evidenced by just a few of the titles of the many books he wrote during his long lifespan from 1900s to 1988. Edgar Dale's work continues to influence educational technologies in the 21st century. Now, what is Dale's Cone of Experience? Dale's Cone of Experience is a model that incorporates several theories related to instructional design and learning processes. During the 1960s, Edgar Dale theorized that learners retain more information by what they do as opposed to what is heard, read, or observed. Do you also know that Dale intended to produce an instinctive model of the concreteness of the various kinds of audiovisual media? However, the model has been widely and frequently misunderstood and misused. To clearly understand the difference of the corrupted model to real model, we have another image here. What do you notice? As we can see from the illustrations, the corrupted model purports to inform learners of how much people remember based on how they receive information. According to it, learners generally remember 10% of what they read, 20% of what they hear, 30% of what they see, 50% of what they hear and see, and 70% of what they say and write, and 90% of what they do. Suspiciously round numbers. No, but when you compare the corrupted model to Dale's actual Cone of Experience, you notice that Dale did not include any numbers or percentages. Now that we have overcome some of the misconceptions, let's now look at the 11 levels of authentic Dale's cone of experience, which shows how strong a person can retain or remember something based on these methods. Let's start first at the fourth top level of the cone, which are the verbal and visual symbols, audio recording, and motion pictures. 11th and last level of the cone is verbal symbols or text. We can't deny that the texts are mostly found on paper or screen. Verbal symbols bear no resemblance to the objects or ideas they stand for. For example, the word apple, A-P-P-L-E. Don't look, sound, smell, taste, or feel anything like actual fruit. So it's kinda hard to remember it since you only saw it once. 10th level is the visual symbols or charts, graphs, and maps. This highly abstract level includes visual symbols such as charts, maps, graphs, and diagrams that are used for conceptual representation. For example, the street signs, the logos are one of the examples we see every day. These symbols help people understand the world. Just as with the verbal symbols, visual symbols help drive understanding by conveying a meaning that is shared with the rest of society. And visual is much easier to remember. The 9th level is recordings, radio, and still pictures. Edgar Dale first created this model in 1946. As such, he included the multimedia assets of his time such as recordings, radio, and still pictures. In modern times, this level includes photos, podcasts, and audio files. If you go back to the corrupted cone, one of the common misinterpretations treats seeing as more effective than hearing. Yet Dale's placed visual and auditory media on the similar level of abstraction. 8th and 7th level in motion pictures and educational television. This level enable learners to process real-life processes or events through on-screen recordings. Motion pictures and educational television include, for example, videos, animations, and TV programs, which imply value and messages through moving pictures. In fact, videos are effective for presenting movement and continuity of ideas. You could even say that motion pictures and television provide a window to the world. Now we are done to abstract experience, let's open up the levels that for an expanded range of sensory and participatory experiences. These are exhibits, field trips, and demonstrations. We have here the exhibits as the 6th level. This level can be summarized as meaningful displays with limited practical experience. These exhibits are specifically designed for interactivity. As a result, this experience allows learners to the meaning and relevance of things based on different pictures and representations presented. Exhibits are also a great way to present students with exposure to new ideas. 5th level is field or study trips. Field or study trips offer the sights of the sounds of real-world settings. Participation could include, for instance, planting flowers or visiting places. As such, study trips provide an opportunity to experience something that learners cannot be encountered within the traditional classroom space. 4th level is demonstrations. A demonstration is a visualized explanation of facts, ideas, or processes. They are a common way to train employees or students as they require relatively little preparation and resources. On top of that, demonstrations can include pictures, drawings, film, and other types of media in order to facilitate clear and effective learning. Now let's move on and then go to the first 3 most effective learning methods, which are dramatized experiences, contrived experiences, and direct purposeful experiences. The 3rd level is called dramatized experiences. Dramatized experiences can be seen as role-play exercise. This means reconstructing situations for learning purposes. As a result, the 3rd level involves shifting learners, at least some of them, from observers to active participants. This enables learners to participate in reconstructed experience that could give them a better understanding of the idea or concept. In this manner, dramatizing in real-life experiences can help students to get the closer certain ideas. The second level is called contrived experiences, which focuses on the editing of reality. At this level, teachers use representative models and mock-ups to provide an experience that is as close to reality as possible. Contrived experiences are very practical and very useful in learning. Contrived experiences are easier to manipulate or operate. The first level and the highest effective learning method is direct purposeful experiences. Direct purposeful experiences are hands-on activities that grant us responsibility for driving a specific outcome. We are active agents in the learning experience. These rich, full-blooded experiences can be considered the bedrock of all education. After all, learners can see, handle, taste, feel, and touch and smell these experiences. As such, at this level, learners use more senses on their knowledge. So let us understand why we need the Dale's Cone of Experience. Well, the Dale's Cone of Experience was one that influences the educational technologies field. Its utility in selecting instructional resources and activities is just as practical today as when Dale created the cone. Even though Dale himself recommended not to take the model too seriously, it does guide us in creating effective learning environments. So let's take a look. Most purpose in learning and development. According to Dale, effective learning environments should offer memorable and rich experiences where learners can use multiple senses. He characterized rich experiences as follows. Students use their eyes, ears, noses, mouths, and hands to explore and immerse the experience. Training events are emotionally rewarding and will motivate participants to continue learning throughout their lives. Students also have the opportunity to reflect on their past experiences to create new experiences. Next, the Cone of Experience purpose in learning strategies. Dale thought that the school system forced students to memorize information instead of actually learning how to think or solve real problems. Unfortunately, the current school system has been criticized for adopting the same approach. For this reason, Dale argued that we should use revolutionary approaches to improve the quality of educational learning environments. One way to do this is to introduce a range of audiovisual materials to create vivid and memorable learning experiences. How can instructors use the Cone of Experience? According to Dale's research, the least effective method at the top involves learning from information presented through verbal symbols like listening to spoken words. The most effective methods at the bottom involves direct, purposeful learning experiences such as hands-on or field experience. The cone charts the average retention rate for various methods of teaching. The further you progress down the cone, the greater the learning and the more information is likely to be retained. It also suggests that when choosing an instructional method, it is important to remember that involving students in the process strengthens knowledge retention. It reveals that action learning techniques result in up to 90% retention. In those ways, teachers can help students effectively, and we all want to improve children's brain capacity. That is called Dale's Cone of Experience. This is my references, and thank you, geniuses. I am still here, but let's hear the next topic. Are you ready? Genius Darwin and Genius K, zoom in. Okay?
Hello, geniuses. I am Darren Woki.
Hello, geniuses. I am Kay.
Technology in education reflects the fast-paced environment we live in. In today's classroom, students rarely work on the same project at the same time. Instead, today's schools are technologically advanced learning environments that encourage a wide range of activities. Mobile and versatile technology integration is most effective in teaching. Technology becomes an inseparable part of the learning process when it is in the hands of students. While addressing the complex, diverse, and situational character of teacher knowledge, technological pedagogical content knowledge or TPAC aims to determine the form of knowledge required by teachers for technology integration in their teaching. The TPAC framework is getting prominence as a foundation for developing educational technology, professional development programs for instructors. The necessity to be able to measure the teacher's TPAC has developed as a result of this application of TPAC This approach does not necessitate that new technology must be introduced. Rather, it connects innovative ideas to the technologies that educators already have. Technology, pedagogy, and content must all fit into a certain environment. The objectives of TPAC. First, teachers can design learning activities and assessment tasks that are specific to the knowledge and abilities that students should have at the conclusion of the learning session. Second, students can easily determine out what they need to know and produce in order to demonstrate their knowledge and abilities.
What is the TPACK framework? TPACK stands for Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge. It is a theory that was developed to explain the set of knowledge that teachers need to teach their students a subject, teach effectively, and use technology. What are the three knowledge areas to consider in TPACK? The following are the answers. First, we have pedagogical content knowledge that remind us as teachers, we design lessons based on how students can best learn our specific course material. Second, technological content knowledge, TCK, is how the technology influences the content. For an example, teachers used to teach penmanship and cursive to their students. And lastly, technological pedagogical knowledge, TPK, highlights the area where technology and pedagogy influence each other. Incorporating technology into the classroom often causes a change in how the material is taught. A simple example might be when a teacher uses an instructional video clip for a topic that they use to model on the board.
Three fundamental components of excellent teaching using technology are content, pedagogy, and technology, as well as the relationships within and between them. The interactions between and among the three components, which play out differently in different circumstances, account for the wide range of educational technology integration, extent, and quality. The technology, pedagogy, and content knowledge or TPACK framework is built on these three knowledge bases: content, pedagogy, and technology. The TPACK mark in the diagram symbolizes a complete understanding of how to teach with technology. Keep in mind that this does not imply that you understand each of the three fundamental notions separately. Instead, the goal of TPACK is to learn how to use technology to improve student learning experiences while teaching topics. For example, the way you deliver content to your students via your learning management system or LMS. Even if you have sufficient knowledge of the content you're teaching, CK, and of your LMS, TK, you might still subject your students to an entire online course of text-based PDFs. LMS here is technological knowledge, and the sufficient knowledge of the content is considered as content knowledge. So first, content knowledge. Teachers' content knowledge refers to the understanding of the subject matter to be learned or taught. The subject covered in high school science or history differs from the content covered in college art appreciation course or a graduate biology forum. Teachers must be well versed in their subject matter. Teachers should comprehend the underlying knowledge fundamentals of the disciplines in which they teach, because knowledge and the nature of study differ substantially between fields. This would involve understanding of scientific facts and hypotheses, the scientific method, and evidence-based reasoning in the case of science, knowledge of art history, famous paintings, artworks, painters, and their historical contexts, as well as aesthetic and psychological theories for judging art, would be examples of such knowledge in the case of art appreciation. Second, pedagogical knowledge. Teachers' extensive knowledge of teaching and learning processes and behaviors is referred to as pedagogical knowledge. They cover a wide range of topics, including educational goals, values, and objectives, understanding how kids learn, general classroom management abilities, lesson planning, and student evaluation are all examples of generic knowledge. It comprises knowledge of classroom procedures or methods, the nature of the target audience, and strategies for assessing student comprehension. A teacher with extensive pedagogical expertise understands how students generate information and skills, as well as how they develop beneficial learning habits and attitudes. As a result, pedagogical knowledge necessitates an understanding of cognitive, social, and developmental theories of learning, as well as how they apply to classroom students. Third, pedagogical content knowledge or PCK. This can be used in the classroom to teach specific content. The teacher understands the subject matter, finds numerous ways to communicate it, and adjust and customize the educational materials to alternate ideas and prior knowledge of the students. PCK addresses the essential issues of teaching, learning, curriculum, assessment, and reporting, such as learning environments and the connections between curriculum, assessment, and pedagogy. Effective teaching requires an understanding of common misunderstandings and ways of looking at them. The importance of solidifying connections between different content-based ideas, students' prior knowledge, alternative teaching strategies, and the flexibility that comes from exploring different perspectives on the same idea or problem. Fourth, the technology knowledge. More than the other two basic knowledge categories in the TPAC framework, technology knowledge is always in change, pedagogy, and content. As a result, defining it is very difficult. The standard definition of computer literacy does require a deeper, more necessary understanding and command of information technology for information processing, communication, or problem resolution. Acquiring TK in this way allows a person to use information technology to do a wide range of tasks and to experiment with multiple approaches to completing a task. Number 5. Technological Content Knowledge or TCK. New metaphors for comprehending the world have emerged as a result of technological advancements. Technologies have brought new views for interpreting occurrences, such as viewing the heart as a pump or the brain as an information processing computer. These symbolic and metaphorical linkages are not only coincidental, they have frequently resulted in profound shifts in the character of fields. TCK is the study of how technology and content interact to impact and limit one another. Teachers must master more than just have a thorough awareness of how the subject matter or the types of representations that can be built, can be altered by the use of specific technologies. Teachers must know which technology are best suited for tackling given topic learning in their domains, as well as how content dictates or even affects technology or vice versa. 6. Technological pedagogical knowledge. TPK is a concept that describes how teaching and learning might alter when certain technologies are applied in specific ways. This includes understanding the pedagogical benefits and drawbacks of a variety of technological instruments in relation to discipline and developmentally appropriate educational designs and tactics. A greater grasp of the limits and affordances of technologies, as well as the disciplinary settings in which they operate, is required to construct TPK. Because most widely used software packages are developed for instructional purposes, TPK becomes more vital, like Microsoft Office, Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. Software is often developed for use in an corporate setting. Entertainment, communication, and social networking are all goals of web-based technologies like blogs and podcasts. Teachers must resist functional fixity and learn to explore beyond the most common uses of technology, reconfiguring them for instructional purposes. As a result, TPK necessitates a forward-thinking, creative, and open-minded approach to technology use, not for its own sake but to further student learning and understanding. And 7, the last, technology, pedagogy, and content knowledge or TPAC. This is a form of evolving knowledge that encompasses all three core aspects: the content, pedagogy, and technology. Knowledge of technological pedagogical content develops from interactions between content, pedagogy, and technology. EPAC is distinct from individual understanding of all three principles in underlying really meaningful and thoroughly skilled teaching with technology. TPAC, on the other hand, is the key to effective teaching with technology, requiring a knowledge of the representation of concepts using technologies, pedagogical techniques that use technologies in constructive ways to teach content, knowledge of what makes concept difficult or easy to learn and how technology can help redress some of the problems that students face, knowledge of students' prior knowledge and theories of reasoning, and understanding of how technologies can help resolve some of the difficulties that learners encounter. It is indeed challenging to accomplish well while teaching with technology. According to the TPAC framework, content, pedagogy, technology, and teaching or learning environments all have roles to play, both individually and together. To teach effectively with technology, you must constantly create, maintain, and re-establish a new balance among all of the components. It's important to remember that a variety of factors influence how this balance is achieved. Next slide and next reporter, please.
What is the point of technological pedagogical content knowledge, or known as TPACK? The point of TPACK is to understand how to use technology to teach concepts in a way that enhances student learning experiences. Next slide, please. Why technological pedagogical content knowledge important in the field of teaching? The following answer are the possible reasons. Knowledge of specific hardware and software is needed to enable teachers to understand the options from which they may select and to operate them efficiently. Technological knowledge for specific domains in the curriculum, technological content knowledge. Knowledge of the features of technology-rich learning resources is important because it allows teachers to distinguish the qualities and affordances of specific tools in light of pedagogical, technological, pedagogical, and domain-specific learning technological content goals. Knowledge of how to use technology-rich curricular resources is necessary for teachers to be able to employ ICT and pedagogically meaningful ways to achieve learning in specific content areas. Technological pedagogical content knowledge.
Hello, geniuses. I am Luning Ning.
Hi, geniuses. I am Kay.
So, hello everyone. So, together we meet to discuss all about the Assure model as Ms. Kay Ampas. And I hope that you guys are ready to listen in our discussion. So, without further ado, let's get started. The Assure model is teaching methods or guidelines that teachers can use to create lesson plans that includes technology and media. An expert teacher can readily decide on material, appropriate teaching tactics, and delivery medium, which is a fundamental difference between an inexperienced teacher and an expert teacher. So, it is a well-known instructional design guide that incorporates a constructivist perspective. This Assure approach is preferred by teachers since it is designed for a few hours of training and for each particular learner. This paradigm does not necessitate a high level of media complexity, in-depth understanding, or frequent design revisions. So, the Assure model is an enhanced version of the conventional ADDIE model. In the selection stage of the Assure process, similar to the development stage of ADDIE, there is particular attention paid to the integration of technology. It is specified that you select media, and the next stage mentions media again. Although the ADDIE model does call for the designer to decide the mode in which is their content will be presented, there is not as high of focus on the use of technology. So, to improve learning environment, use multimedia and technology. Improving the efficiency of training requires careful planning. The Assure model has 6 steps, each represented by a letter in the acronym title, with each step describing a set of tasks central to the informed selection and use of educational technology. The Assure acronym stands for these important components. So, A stands for Analyze Learners, second is State Objectives, the third is Select Methods, Media, and Materials, fourth is Utilize Methods, Media, and Materials, fifth is Require Learner Participation, and lastly, E is to Evaluate and Revise. So, first step is to analyze learners. In this process, the teacher should analyze the attributes of her learners. Identify your learners' expectations, goals, preferences, and needs so that you can create a blended learning strategy that offers them real-world benefits. There should be a focus on those learner characteristics which are associated with the learning outcomes desired. The information gathered will help you in the decisions that you will make with respect to the other step in the process. When you determine the character of the learners, it will guide you in choosing specific strategies and resources to aid the learning process. Objectives of the lesson must be clear and sound. The instructor must state what the learner will accomplish at the conclusion of the course. The stated objectives are the statement describing what the learner will do as a result of the instruction. In other words, objectives are the learning outcomes, that is, what will the students will learn from the lesson, what the learner will be able to accomplish after completing the instruction. The objectives you use should be as specific as possible so that the learner understand what they are to accomplish. If objectives are clearly and specifically stated, both the learning and teaching will become objective-oriented. The most significant goal can be summarized as follows. A goal for the intended audience, the learning behavior, learning conditions, and degree. So in the audience, for whom is objective intended? In the behavior, what is the behavior or performance to be demonstrated? Conditions, what are the conditions under which the behavior or performance will be observed? And lastly, the degree, to what degree will the knowledge or skill be mastered? So once you know your audience and have a clear idea of what they should get out of the lesson, then it's time to select the appropriate method for the given learning task. Select available materials, modify existing materials, or design new materials to help accomplish this task. In selecting instructional methods, media, and materials, it cannot be overlooked. It is important to choose methods and materials that will appropriately meet the state objectives that you are teaching. This requires a lot of planning and preparation on the teacher's part. Relevant media and content materials such as sounds, graphics, text animations, and videos must be selected for effective learning outcomes. At this step, the instructor should connect the audience to the objectives. To connect the two, the teacher must determine what methods to use. As we know, instructional technology, the convergence of computer and communication technology within the realm of teaching and learning, has already had profound effect on education at all levels. So, the duty of the instructor is to reach the new technology with the the existing materials. Instructor must understand how technology is used to educate learners. The instructor must make the lessons interesting by choosing appropriate materials to be used by the learners. Even the room or classroom's condition and equipment, lights, facilities must be appropriately suitable for learning conditions.
So the next one is utilize media and materials. In this step is where you develop your plan for implementing media and materials. For each type of media or materials, the teachers select and describe in how they are going to implement the media into the lesson to help the learner meet the lesson's objective. The media, materials, and technology selected should be focused on carrying out the selected method. If you decide to use electronic equipment, be sure to use it before or even practice if you have to ensure the equipment is functioning properly. In that same regard, it is also important to practice the lesson before you introduce it to the learner. Next, prepare the room, the necessary equipment, of course, and the facilities. To get maximum learning impact from your presentation, you must follow certain utilization procedures. So that is, you utilize media and materials. So the next one is require learner participation. Describe how you are going to get each learner actively and individually involved in the lesson. Requiring the learners to participate is also an essential part of the lesson. Requiring that students be actively involved in the lesson will not only engage students, but will help them retain what they are learning. Some ways to do this are to incorporate discussion, cooperative learnings, questioning, creating fun and hands-on activities. Effective instruction should require learners' active mental engagement by providing activities that allow them to demonstrate their knowledge of skills and receive feedback on their efforts. Feedback provided to the students can come directly from the teacher or may come from another source such as a classmate, a computer program, or a self-evaluation. So here is the last and final part of Assure theory. It is evaluate and revise. After the lesson has been implemented, the teacher must evaluate the effectiveness of the lesson and determine its impact on student learning. This assessment should not only examine the degree at which students achieve the learning objectives, but must also examine the entire instructional process and the impact of using technology and media. If there are discrepancies between learning objectives and student outcomes, the lesson should be revised to address areas of concern. So this is all for the Assure theory. Thank you for listening.